Hey, you guys, this is the Better Lecture. Better is a lecture on workplace discrimination. I would love to talk to you guys about workplace discrimination. My name is Glenee. I help you confidently practice workplace rights and responsibilities, preventing mental illnesses and stress-related disease so that you live a blessed, bountiful, and beautiful life. I went through discrimination in the workplace like so many people, but I don't know, for some reason I had a really hard time because I just didn't submit to what they wanted me to do. I was pretty much adamant about sticking to my guns and my rights. And what happened to me, I saw is a reason for America's public health crises and, injury from medication and just, living a life of regret. And our workforce is changing so drastically for all of us right before our face. And I just feel very compelled to share my story so that you guys do not doubt what it is that you're doing in the workplace and that you don't do anything that's against your will. There's a lot of choices that we need to make in the workplace. And like one of the current ones is whether or not you take the vaccine or not take the vaccine. That is completely up to you. You need to submit to what it is that you want to do and what's convicted about you. My problem is that I am meeting a lot of people who regret it and are doing it, and then they're doubting God behind it because they feel like we've been so conditioned to work in our own strength in the workplace. But if I share my story with you all, then you'll know that if you put your health first, then you won't fall victim. You won't become merchandised or marginalized or victimized by the system. Complete living testimony about that. And, sometimes I don't know where to start with my story or how to really inspire or transfer this information because my situation is quite unique, but I did use my relationship with Jesus Christ in the workplace, and it kept me from falling victim. And not even just kept me from falling victim, but it helped me to create and not lose my ability to generate an income and to live a healthy and bountiful life, which I'm trying to share with everyone else. And this YouTube thing is not working. And since I'm already talking on Facebook, I'm just going to continue here. But I need to get my notes up. I'm sorry. Anybody else have trouble with a operating systems lately? Ali, where are you from? Phoenix. How's everything going on? What industry do you work in, if you don't mind me asking? Okay. Just trying to keep some money coming in, huh? Just, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I have never had the pleasure of working in home health. I have a few friends who do and also who own home health agencies out here in California. It's a hard job. You been doing okay? glad to hear that. And of course, I started like 10 minutes earlier. I'm so glad you guys shown up, but I don't know, my notes and stuff are not showing up. Let me get my MacBook. I'll be right back. Yomi, it dropped below 80 degrees out here in the valley and I got super cold. So I had to put my hat on. Okay. Oh, wonderful. It's not working. Thank you. This is crazy. Okay. Boy, I tell you, the devil is a lie. I can't get nothing working. Seems like I should know my introduction by heart by now. Okay. Feeling quite disorganized. Sorry. What's happening? Okay, well, I'm just gonna, until the one on the desktop side is gonna act right, I'm just gonna read my introduction off of here because I guess I should know it by heart, but you know, I'm new to all of this. I'm just really trying to get comfortable in doing it, so bear with me. It seems like if I don't do it, then I start talking about what I know and then people think I'm pretentious and like I haven't been through anything, so I'm like, you know, I got to figure all of this out. So welcome to Better. Better is a lecture on workplace discrimination. Workplace discrimination is a form of chronic job stress, and it is my strong contention that when career-driven, college-educated professionals who are believers in Jesus Christ know how to confidently practice workplace rights and responsibilities the way God commands, we can live in peace, we can live in health, we can live in prosperity. Peace is where we, the people, are free from racism and stress-related diseases. I do believe that understanding mental illness as it stems from chronic job stress is key to this. So my name is Glennae Davis. I am a California registered nurse. I help you confidently practice workplace rights and responsibilities, preventing mental illness and stress-related diseases to live a blessed, bountiful, and beautiful life in Jesus Christ. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Despite completing only grade school, I earned a bachelor's in the science of nursing. I have a 30-year healthcare experience. I have enjoyed an amazing 16-year nursing career working in highly specialized areas of medicine like medical ICU, cardiothoracic ICU, solid organ transplantation, pain management, post-anesthesia care unit, cardiac catheterization. I have seen miracles, signs, wonders, and evil of medicine. I went from gang banging with the Black P-Stones of Los Angeles, California, to a seat at the table. Colleagues with world-renowned cardiothoracic surgeons, immunologists, pulmonologists, cardiologists, and professors of medicine. And now I am the founder of 2 companies. My first company is Nays Vision, which is a publishing firm where I am editor-in-chief and I have self-published 2 books. Yet here I stand, my journey from bondage to liberty, which is a memoir, then Bias and Burnout, 10 Power Moves for Healthcare Workplace Equity, which is a healthcare business book. I am the CEO at RX for Life. Getting to this place wasn't easy. I had a mental breakdown working as a registered nurse fighting for my employment rights, suffering systemic employment discrimination for 4 years within a major U.S. hospital. It was the hypocrisy that made me sicker than my sickest patient. For business purposes, I was going to die. No one showed me how to be like Jesus Christ to bring life. No one showed me to be like Jesus Christ to bring life. Workplace discrimination, which is a form of chronic job stress, and medical oppression are real frightful phenomenons working in synergy for business purposes, consequently keeping our nation's workforce in captivity and also making them victims of America's public health crises. So there is a strong connection between what we do in the workplace, going to our doctors and getting medicated to prevent us from excelling in what it is that Jesus Christ is asking us to do in the workplace. And because of my experience and because of what I've seen in the workplace and because of the studies that I have done with people who are homeless on the street and who, are medical and corporate waste, unfortunately, because they tried the system way and it failed them. So I felt it was my responsibility, not only as a watchman of Jesus Christ, to warn you all of what takes place in the workplace so that you can have strong conviction within yourself, but as a registered nurse, to work in the full body of my knowledge and my mandated rights as a registered nurse to help protect you all from falling victim and to just really help you to stand by your conviction and your faith, because you just need a small mustard seed of faith, you guys, in order to win this battle. Okay, so that's why I created RX for Life, which is a health equity consultancy and education agency. And when I tell you that to prevent mental illness, because Satan is after your mind. He will confuse you and deceive you, and we fall for it because we haven't been taught any other way to earn money other than to work, laborious work. And that is not always the case for everyone. I don't even know if it's the case for everyone, but if you've been awakened to something that's taking place in the workplace, I caution you to follow that light because it will see you through to your destiny, okay? Satan himself is after your mind. So I created Workplace for RX for Life, a health equity consultancy and education agency, because Satan himself is after your mind, and the foundation of psychiatry begins during the antebellum period with a physician named Samuel S. Cartwright, who is the father of psychiatry. And if you know anything about psychiatry and you know anything about the DSM-5s and 6s, which is like their Bible, it's 180-degree difference from the word of the Lord. And so I want to help people who may be pivoting the wrong way to get back onto their path. My path is not your path. We'll all have unique health outcomes, but the goal is to not fall victim to America's public health crises because we are not exercising and practicing our rights, number one, in the workplace, but then really trusting in God also. So today's employees, anyone who is in the workplace right now, you have some very tough decisions to make right now, very tough soul-saving decisions. For me, I think they're very simple, but for you, because you don't know the battle, I want to help provide you the tools and to share with you the very simple steps that it takes, but it does take a renewing of the mind. And hopefully we have enough going on in the world where you will want to say, nah, don't want to go that route, right? So what you're hearing from me tonight are not new concepts or ideas or information, but what is new is that the framing of the knowledge that I'm delivering to you through a health equity authority, such as myself, a registered nurse. So just bear with me. Please ask me any challenging questions that you may have. I'm very much an introvert. I don't really like talking a whole lot. So, but I've been commissioned to do this work, and you know, as God is my witness, I'm going to deliver it as best as I can, because I don't want the workforce, the nation's workforce, blood on my hands. I have to get this information out, and I have to be open for you all to come in and learn from me, so that you know what to do in the workplace, and how not to participate in workplace discrimination that benefits the corporate interest and not humanity's interest. So please make sure that you like, share, like, and subscribe. My page has been shadow banned because so many people kind of watch, but they don't like, and then they don't share. And I really feel like I have very important information that can help unify people together to understand and get us on one accord. Whether or not you're a believer or not, that is not my business. I am a believer, and I would like for you to accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, because there's so much happening in the world and we all need a covering, okay? So no more antebellum thinking when you go into work. And what I mean by that is that you should be bold, empowered employees when you show up in the workforce, because you are being compensated, but you also have workplace rights and responsibilities. So if you don't know your rights and responsibilities in the workplace, you should learn them quickly, because nothing is mandated against you, and nothing no one can make you do anything. We are Americans. We are the land of the brave, home of the free. Like, this is our country, and there are some very sinister things happening right now. And we really need to be in a position where we're not being fed by our local news, but being fed by the truth and the good news, who is Jesus Christ, okay? So when you show up at work, this is what I want you to think about when you walk into the workplace. I want you to think about value. Go to work and you're adding value. I've always been an employee. I've never wanted to leave employment. Heck, I could have stayed in the ICU for the rest of my career. That's just how good I was as an ICU nurse, and that's just how much I love taking care of people. But God showed me some things and took me through some things and put me in a different position. So now I'm here, and that's just what I want to show you guys also, is that you won't lose if you put your health first. You'll go through some things, but you will come out on top, because the hand of God will never leave his people. He says his people are never beggars in the street. So if his people are never beggars in the street, then who are those people? I'm going to tell you who those people are in a little while, a little bit later. So when you go to work, I want you to think of adding value to your name, to your self-worth, to your community, to your family, and to your future. Because this is all about you. Nobody can make you do anything. You can take a doctor's recommendation and a prescriptions, but they're not accountable for your health outcomes. You are solely accountable for it. And I want to teach you how to not give away that responsibility to someone else, because how many of you guys know that when we do die, we are accountable for our works? Our works. We will be judged on our works, okay? Remember Jesus Christ, like, get away from me. I never knew you. And you're like, Lord, no, didn't I do this? Didn't I pay my tithes? Didn't I prophesy? Yeah, no, your works. So what are you willing to do in the workplace? And I get it, you guys, going to work, we, as Black people particularly, we don't really know how to have conversations with white people, and we think that they have more power than us. But if you are in Christ, then you have power, and you need to make sure that you're using it, because in that power you have privilege. So you do this, and you show up at work, and you represent Jesus Christ on the job, and this is part of your character building, And Jesus Christ is pretty offensive, right? He's in love, and he has righteous indignation, but I don't think people would consider him nice, and I don't think that he would consider himself nice either, but he is a kind man and have a kind heart, which is what so many of us have, but we lose it in the workplace because it just really doesn't feel as if it has a place, because so many of us show up for work for a paycheck, and then we just become routine and mundane. But I'm warning you guys that the workplace right now is changing. Your stakeholders are being oppressed, your stakeholder. Like, they've always been about the money, but now they are being like torn to pieces for this whole profit and this government thing, and all of these things is going on in dark places. And the only way that you're going to be saved is if you choose to hold on to the light and to the truth, because there's a great deception happening, and you have to stay awake, and you have to stay mindful, and you have to stay aware, and you have to stay mindful, and you have to stay bold, because this is not going to be for the weak at heart. And I'm not saying any of this to scare you all, but just to prepare you and to know that we win, you guys. No matter how hard it is, we win when we're in Christ, and we don't give over to, the enemy. So we talked about the character building. We talked about you adding value into work. And you guys, the workplace is really the only place that we can really be neighborly. Like, I don't know, we don't really know too many of our neighbors, but when we're going to work is like this big community where we're all there for the same purposes and the same goals. And then we have so many tiers of socioeconomic statuses. I'm from the healthcare community. So we have people who are like our cafeteria workers, and then our janitors, and then our CNOs and our CFOs. So there's a whole bunch of different people in there, but we're, for the most part, all have the same rights and responsibilities, even though the top part plays by different rules, but they kind of make them up as they go. And you have to understand that your managers, they are hired to represent the interests of the company. So if they're doing things that are not in the best interest of the people, then you really have to understand that those people are unconscious with bias, and they dead. You have to kind of like bypass them and don't worry about them. And there are some tactics and strategies that I can teach later on for people who are actually in the midst of workplace discrimination. But for the rest of you, none of this stuff will really even happen, but you still need to be mindful of not being deceived or not accepting things as mundane and status quo when you have been enlightened and aware of something in the workplace. And it could not even be, it don't even have to be for you. It could be for someone else. And you're responsible for that piece of information, what I like to call that burning bush. When Moses was just minding his own business and the burning bush appeared, and he saw that he wasn't consumed, but yet, he was intrigued by it. Because when you're going through workplace issues, nothing else matters. Nothing. Like, you can't focus and concentrate on anything else, because your entire image and your entire paycheck and your entire way of life is about this, and then you got family depending on you, friends. And so there's so many outer influences, but you have to stay centered and understand what your inner fluence is. So I said that to say that employment is important, you guys. I couldn't imagine not having large corporations who really impact such large communities. And if we were all just kind of self-employed people, I mean, this would, I don't know what it would be. Like, it wouldn't be anything that I'm used to, but, so many people have left their jobs behind the vaccine mandates. And so we'll see, what all of this brings. And I just pray for safety for everyone. And I say that because decision-making as an employee is very important. You have to make sound decisions that's going to bring life, liberty, and justice for yourself, because where else do you all have so many rights and so many rules and so many expectations? I mean, as soon as you're hired on at your job, what do? Sit you down to go over anti-bias and anti-discrimination policies, right? You got to get updated with that every year. So know what your role is, and understand that pursuing rights and responsibilities is stressful, but it's supposed to be. Okay? You just have to know what to expect. So just remember, purpose over paycheck. You guys, I'm not even keeping up with the time. It's only supposed to be 60 minutes. So let me just tell you about RX for Life while we're here, what my mission is. My mission is to help believers in Jesus Christ confidently practice workplace rights and responsibilities, preventing mental illness and stress-related disease. The vision for RX for Life is to have better health results than using your employee-sponsored benefits to manage workplace stress, which is a form of chronic job stress. They do such a poor job with helping employees manage job stress because they do not tell you what to do about job stress. They want you to balance it, and they want you to be mindful of it, and they want you to tolerate it and accept it. But that's not what God wants you to do. He doesn't want any lukewarm Christians. You need to be fired up so that you don't burn out. You know, righteous indignation. And it's not about having an attitude. I kind of teach you to be more bold and professional about your dealings with the people in the workplace. You have to set boundaries, and you have to, you know, tell people when they have crossed you. I don't know. I was reading on social media the other day, and it's like, I shouldn't have to tell nobody grown when they did something wrong to me. Ain't nobody psychic out here. Nobody's psychic. You got to talk to people. You got to tell people how they offended you or affected you, right? So, and our purpose for doing all of this is so that we have health equity, you guys. So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So tonight's lecture is about Christians, that Jesus Christ is talking about our workforce. The rich man has less of a chance of getting into the gates of heaven than a camel does or walking through the eye of a needle. I never really understood that. And when I thought rich, as an employee, you don't really think that you're rich, but you are rich. You guys are the richest people ever because you have benefits and you have time off, you have vacation, you have PTO, you have so much to lose and so much to gain. And so this is why he says this, because no one wants to make the decision. And like, I didn't think that you couldn't possibly be asking me to give up all of my goods. But he's not. He's asking you to choose life and to choose it more abundantly and to move yourself from working in the natural realm to in the spiritual realm, okay? Yeah, it's the California employee, it's the workforce who are more apt to falling victim to America's public health crises because you doubt the living God. And it's you who allow institutional racism to affect employees because you just want to mind your business and you're very comfortable getting your own paycheck. And it's you who Jesus Christ will say, get away from me, that I never knew you. But you can change that, okay? I'm here to warn and to save as many souls as I possibly can. Please don't forget to like and comment and everything. I really do appreciate it because it's been very difficult for me to even get out of my own way and bring Jesus Christ into the workforce because, you know, we got yoga, Buddha, mindfulness, and, you know, we have everything else but Jesus Christ is the only healer. And so, like I said, I used him as systems of discrimination. And when I was fired for disability, I went 2 years with zero income, cashed out pension, and at the end of 2 years, I had written my first book, and I was in escrow, not foreclosure, starting a new fitting job. So, you know, if I can share that testimony with as many people as possible so that you don't doubt and you stay strong to your conviction, whatever it is, and don't be discriminating against people for what they don't want to do and what they do want to do. Don't add to that fire because it's enough going on, and we people, we need one another. We need one another. We need to learn from one another and uplift one another. Okay, so how long have I been on here? I feel like I've been talking 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna get into some content. That was long. I must be getting comfortable talking. So by the end of this lecture, you will have learned specific solutions for preventing mental illness stemming from the workplace, what the measurable data is for employees to avoid the many pitfalls, achievable goals for becoming empowered employees. Thank you, Yomi. Achievable goals for becoming empowered employees, and relevant health equity products and services, the timeliness of partnership for our nation's workforce. I definitely want to work exclusively with employees. I don't really know. I do know how your employers will take it, because long before 2020 came, I was taking my product to a lot of your employees and your unions, and they're like, yeah, I see what you're talking about, but they don't want it. They don't want you guys to have this information, you guys. They would rather for you guys to be corporate and pharmaceutical waste than to get empowered and live your best life. And the funny thing is that, you know, as an individual, there's no way I could have taken down Ronald Reagan, UCLA. They're agglomerate, but they could have taken me down. And if I wouldn't have fought for my rights, I would have lost, and they would have kept going. Like, they kept going. But because I did what I did, I also kept going, right? Like, I'm a human being. I'm very important. And I have a God that I fear. So everything that happens in the workplace is just a test of faith. It is your worship. It is your faith. So do you trust God? Ask yourself, do you trust God? Are you convicted to do what he is asking you to do? What he asks me to do, he may not be asking. He certainly is not asking Yomi or Ali or anyone else to do, but you have to know what he's asking you to do. And you have to understand that what he's asking you to do is going to cause controversy and conflict between you and the system, whether it's your employer, your school, or something like that. And I don't talk about relationships, because relationships is something different, like your intimate relationships. That's different than work. And, you know, I know a lot of women who will fight harder for a man than they will fight for their rights in the workplace. Hello. Yeah, y'all better figure that one out real quick, real quick. So after everything that I just told you, I want you to know that I do have 20 hours of content, but only have a short time to share with you today. There are more health equity products and services that I do have for you. There are other ways we can work together, but right now, I'm going to share the 5 SMART goals that you must grasp if you want to protect your mind from workplace discrimination and become free from institutional racism and stress-related diseases to live a blessed, bountiful, and beautiful life, a spiritual life in Jesus Christ. So here are some specific solutions for preventing mental illness caused by chronic job stress. First, in a spiritual sense, what do you think chronic job stress is? Your Goliath. Your Goliath. What are you commanded to do about your Goliath? Slay it, right? You're commanded to slay your Goliath. Now, this is not a literal thing. Don't go cutting off people's heads, because I had some nemesis in there, and it got that bad. But this is how you fight in the spirit, you guys. Is you gotta pray through it and worship through it, and also do what God is telling you to do. And it's scary. Like, I had post-traumatic stress disorder from it, and I'm not saying that you're gonna do the same thing that I did, but I didn't have the knowledge. And so if, you know, people like Christopher Dorner, he and I were going through the same thing at the same time. He was going through it with the LAPD. And then I think about Khalif Browder, who was going through it with Rikers Island in the prison system. And I just think, man, what if these brothers would have fought in the spirit like I did, and how they would have changed the police system, and how they would have provided different avenues and different perspectives and outlooks, because they had endured what they had endured and came through it on the other side. Because, you know, Khalif committed suicide, and trust me, it gets that dark, especially without the knowledge of understanding that, you know, God is there. It gets that dark. And, you know, I was even thinking, you know, if I had any pull in the hood, who I can go get, you know, peace from, because I wanted to level the playing field for real. But I'm serious, you guys. It's about, you know, renewing your mind, forgiving people who have caused you harm, and then seeing your life play out in the Bible. Like, you can literally find your role in the Bible when you're going through systems of discrimination, because this is what Jesus Christ was going through. The government was against him, just like the government is against us. Some people wouldn't think so, but they are. Like, these sinister things, and this is about good and evil. This is not about flesh and blood, but about good and evil. And if you know anything about prophecy, then we are living in our last days, and it is very important that you guys decide who you gonna serve today. It's important that you do that, because when you are experiencing chronic job stress, it's most likely a Goliath that is in your way, keeping you from getting to your next level. I don't want to go in through spikes of stress hormones and all those things right now, but I'm telling you, once you make the decision to slay your giant, which is confront them or whatever it is you need to do, which is my next point, then that stress hormone will go down and you won't be in chronic stress anymore, and your adrenal glands will not be producing cortisol anymore, and your high blood pressure won't be so high anymore, and you won't be so addicted to sweets and things, and you won't be so nervous, and you'll be more relaxed at home. We are so afraid to confront people at our jobs because, I don't know, we're afraid to offend people, and we're afraid for people to say anything back to us. We're such people pleasers. I know I'm a people pleaser, and so I have to be very careful about who I let into my circle because I'm a people pleaser. So, know what your character is, and learn to confront people in a good, healthy way. Confronting requires vulnerability, but yet it allows for compassion, because sometimes people don't know. They don't know until we tell them. It allows you to set healthy boundaries, and it improves your communications with an expectation to receive. So it improves your communicating skills, and it allows you to have that expectation to receive what it is that you want. So confronting someone in the workplace is your most important thing that you have to do, and then learning to cope with that. With RX for Life, employees gather and apply the right health information that they need to prevent becoming marginalized, victimized, and merchandised by institutional racism. So just stop being a punk, you guys. Boss up. Stop caring about what other people say. This is your life, this is your health, and this is the destination of your soul that's online. So let's get into some measurable data. I want to talk to you about Matthew 18:18, meaning the meaning of whatever you bind here on earth. Christ says, "Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." This statement is about confrontation and forgiveness and your discipline as the church in the body of Christ. And I say that because so many employees are going to the doctor. There's an empirical study that 75 to 95% of all doctor's office visits are for job-related stress. And this is pre-COVID when I started doing this work. So men and women of all ages, employees, are using their employer-sponsored benefits to talk about job-related stress. And then still 75% of diseases are from unhealthy emotions. So we're going to the doctor, we're talking about job stress, and we're not getting the solution that we need because everybody wants to keep their job, right? No one knows what it's like to depend on the living God who loves us and who has died for us. And so we do that, and what we do know is that, what we know is that employees can use the employer's responsibility to manage job stress and are given a prescription of medication to tolerate the injustice that they are feeling. And they never really get the words and the language that they need to articulate what it is that they're experiencing. And then so, they tell you to go to yoga, they tell you to do meditation, to practice mindfulness. They even tell you that you have the right to sue. But if you've never sued a corporation and dealt with corporate attorneys, that is not worth the $40,000 to $60,000 or maybe even $100,000 that you're going to get, because number one, they're going to lock the truth up inside you. You'll never be able to talk about it. And number two, it just doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel like it's worth the cost, because no one is ever going to affirm your experience. And a lot of people like to be affirmed, and sometimes an apology goes a long way more than a payout, but you're dealing with people and their egos. And so you have to be a better person than that. And, you know, I say this about the medication and everything and why we fall victim is because, you know, the word teaches us about pharmakia and sorcery and everything. And when we go to the psychiatrist and things like that to kind of deal with our workplace issues, or when we say that we're clinically depressed to deal with the workplace issues, do you realize that psych means soul? So we're really going to a doctor to complain and to talk about our soul, the condition of our soul, when we need to be reading the word of God to find out what it is that we need to do about our soul, because Jesus Christ is the only places that we're going to get peace, life, and health. I'm going to skip that story because I am so over. So I want to remind you before I get to the last content pillar is that there are no safety nets. If you don't choose to put your health first, if you don't learn to get the information that you need, then choose Jesus Christ, because that is saving yourself, okay? There's a strong correlation between all of America's public health crises and workplace discrimination and the promises of God. So learn to stand on what side that you can, that you're going to win and that you're going to heal. We have some achievable goals here. I've already told you that, you know, prophecy is revealing itself, and that I am definitely a watchman. I have been asked by God to talk about the workplace and employees making decisions and making sound decisions in the workplace that will save your soul and protect your mind from all of the things that's going on in the workplace for business purposes. Make sure that you are putting your health first. Make sure that you are in your word and you are staying close to God. If you don't know how to do that, I would love to invite you to my claiming religious exemptions. I'm going to put the information in the comments. It's a free workshop where we talk about workplace discrimination and what your specific role is. And I also give religious exemptions for the vaccine if you don't want to take it, or if you have taken it and you don't want to participate in discrimination, just let me know, okay? Oh yeah, it's been 44 minutes. Oh, it's not been that long. Okay. Is that how you do it? Oh. Well, you guys, I already skipped to the end because I thought I was over an hour. So thank you. Let me know what you guys think. And I am going to get off and put the link for the claiming religious exemptions in the comment section, or just to even talk about, you know, what you should know about workplace discrimination, because I think a lot of it is going to be happening, and fighting for money is not going to be the deal, because you guys, we are, what is it, $22 trillion in debt. They finna crash this economy. You guys, make sure that you have water stacked up at home. Make sure you have non-perishable foods, because the government has been paying farmers to destroy crops. And yesterday, the truckers went on strike for one day, from what I understand, for one day. And I don't know if they already started back rolling or not, but there's a lot of things happening. And so I want to make sure that you guys are aware and prepared, not to scare you, but to prepare you, okay? Love you all. Have a good night. What did I do? What did I do? Good night, Ali. Love to talk to you again. You guys, how you turn this thing off?